Here.
Vice Mayor Gonzalez,
Excused.
Councilmember Medina,
Present.
Councilmember Moak,
Excused.
Councilmember Ryman,
Excused.
Councilmember Sash,
Present.
and Councilmember Stewart.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay. All right, consent agenda. All items listed below are considered consent calendar items and may be approved by a single motion unless removed at the request of a council member for further discussion/action. Other items on the agenda may be added to the consent calendar and approved under a single motion. Item 4A, consideration and possible action to approve the minutes of April 14th, 2025, and budget work session and the regular meeting. 4B, consideration and possible action to approve the Town of Miami payroll for April 13th, 2025, $100,133.45. 4C, consideration and possible action to approve the 56th Annual Municipal Clerks Week, May 4th through the 10th, 2025. Read the proclamation. '56th Annual Municipal Clerks Week, May 4th to May 10th, proclamation. Whereas the office of the professional municipal clerk, a time-honored and vital part of local government, exists and throughout the world. And whereas the office of the professional municipal clerk is the oldest among public servants, and whereas the office of the professional municipal clerk provides professional link between the citizens, the local governing bodies, and the agencies of government at other levels. And whereas professional municipal clerks have pledged to be mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all. Whereas professional municipal clerk serves as the information center on functions of local government and community. Whereas professional municipal clerks continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the office of the professional municipal clerk through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and the annual meetings of their state, provincial, county, and international professional organizations. Whereas it is most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of the office of professional municipal clerk. Now therefore, I, Gil Madrid, Mayor of the Town of Miami, do recognize the week May 4th through May 10th, 2025 as Professional Municipal Clerks Week, and further extend appreciation to our professional municipal clerk, Karen North, and to all professional municipal clerks for the vital services they perform and their exemplary dedication to the community they represent. Thank you, Town Clerk. Uh, 4D, National Association of Letter Carriers Food Drive Day, Saturday, May 10th, 2025. Whereas the National Association of Letter Carriers, RON 704, represents all letter carriers in Tucson and many other post offices in southern Arizona. And whereas NALC Branch 704 of the United States Post Office Service and the AFL-CIO have joined together with local community food banks for the past 16 years for the annual Letter Carriers Food Drive. And whereas the food drive was initiated in 1991 to assist the many community food banks, food pantries, and homeless shelters throughout the nation. And whereas the food drive effort is a community-based endeavor and all food items donated remain within each local community to serve the needs of the community. Whereas in the year 2024, NALC Branch 704 letter carriers collected nearly 300,000 pounds of food and $20,000 in cash in southern Arizona. And now, therefore, I, Gil Madrid, Mayor of the Town of Miami, Arizona, on behalf of the Miami Town Council, do hereby proclaim Saturday, May 10th to be National Association of Letter Carriers Food Drive Day. In this community and encourage all of our citizens to join in this important effort by leaving non-perishable food items near their mailboxes on Saturday, May 10th, for the letter carriers to pick up as they make their rounds. And further, to offer our appreciation and admiration for local letter carriers for their enthusiasm and unique contribution to the betterment of our community. In witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the Town of Miami to be affixed to this 28th day of April 2025. Thank you, National Association. 4E is the National Police Work to recognize May 11th to 17th, to recognize National Police Week 2025 and to honor the service and sacrifice of those law enforcement officers killed in the line of duty while protecting our communities and our safeguarding our democracy. Whereas there are more than 800,000 law enforcement officers serving in communities around the United States, including the dedicated members of the Miami Police Department. Whereas since the first recorded death in 1786, more than 24,000 law enforcement officers in the United States have made the ultimate sacrifice and been killed in the line of duty. Whereas the names of these dedicated public servants are engraved on the walls of the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial in Washington, D.C. Whereas the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund has formally announced that there are 345 names of U.S. law enforcement officers who have died in the line of duty and will be added to the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial in 2025. Whereas the service and sacrifice of all officers killed in the line of duty will be honored during the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund's 37th Candlelight Vigil on the evening of May 13th, 2025. Whereas the Candlelight Vigil is part of National Police Week, which will be observed this year, May 11th through 17th, 2025. Whereas May 15th, 2025 is designated as Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of all fallen officers and their families, and the United States flags should be flown at half-staff. Therefore, be it resolved that the Town of Miami will observe May 11th through 17th, 2025 as National Police Week in Miami, Arizona, publicly statutes the service of law enforcement officers in our community and in the communities across the nation. In witness whereof, I, Gil Madrid, Mayor of the town of Miami, have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the town of Miami to be affixed to this 28th day of April 2025. God bless our law enforcement.
Mayor, I just wanted to point out there was one proclamation that was missing. It was the Municipal City Attorney Appreciation Day proclamation.
Oh, we threw that one
That
out.
is, we're supposed to hold that every April 1st is National Municipal City Attorney Appreciation Day.
Is there money involved?
That's why it's on April 1st.
April Fool's Day.
Mayor,
Yes.
I make a motion to approve consent agenda, items A, B, C, D, and E as stated.
Second.
Okay. Motion has been offered to approve. We'll go to vote. If there's no other comments. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Nay? Ayes have it. Okay, item 5 on the agenda, committee reports and general demands. 5A, consideration and possible action to approve the general demands for April 4th to April 17th, 2025, $143,116.12. Any comments, questions? Motion?
Mayor,
Yes?
make a motion to approve committee reports and general demands, item A.
Okay. Motion's been approved, so we're gonna vote. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Item 6, reports and recognitions. 6A, town manager reports.
Good evening, Mayor and Council and public present. We have only to inform the swimming pool is ready for the summer. It's already fixed. Thank you to the public works staff and the contractor. They take the last 2 weeks working hard for that repair, and now is ready for this community and for the community, the kids of the town of Miami. That's what we have.
Good. Okay, item 6B. Mayor, council reports. Anything from the councilman? Okay, I've got a couple items to mention to the group, all of the attendees here. There was an incident right behind Miami Unified School District where a fire was starting on a home, and our baseball team was out on the field and they saw that, and they stopped what they were doing. They ran over to that house. They knocked on the door to notify the owners that their home was on fire, and then they went and grabbed some of the hoses, water hoses in the yard, and started watering it down while the owners were calling Tri-City to come up, take care of that. And so we have more heroes again from Miami Unified School District, and we need to give them an applause. And if we can bring them here to do that, we'll give it a try. Item 6B, second item I have in item 6B is Miami Strategies, strategic plan draft is in the process of being completed. We actually have the draft version of it, and we're looking at it, and we're going to pass it out to our councilmen and let them review it, and any comments or changes or whatever that they might have, we'll adjust it accordingly, and then we'll have it ready for any of the town citizens that want to see it. And we're going to move forward and put it in the local newspaper so everyone can read about it that is interested. But it's a great job that our consultants have done, and we'll dig into it in a lot more information probably in the next meeting. We'll get it on the agenda, if you will, Alexis. Okay, call to the public, item 7. Pursuant to Arizona Revised Statutes 38-431.01H, at this time, members of the public may address the town council on any issue with the council's jurisdiction that is not on the agenda. There is a 3-minute limit for each speaker. The council's response is limited to responding to criticisms, asking staff to review a matter commented upon, or asking that a matter be put on a future agenda. Council members are not permitted to discuss or take legal action on a matter raised during the call to the public. Anyone in the public would like to come up? No one? Oh, that was easy. Okay, let's move on. Item 8, unfinished business, none of that. Item 9, new business. 9A, presentation of donation from SUNT, one of our biggest contractors in the country. Foundation SUNT Corporation for the roof of the Town of Miami Memorial Library. Evelyn?
Thank you, Mayor. Am I on?
You're up.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor, council members, members of the audience. What a wonderful evening this is. You know, I'm just so excited to have SUNT here. I want to introduce a few people first. I want to introduce the library director, Sue Pontel. The former director, Delvin Hayward, was supposed to be here. She's not feeling very well. Oh, she is? Hey, Delvin, you made it. Come on up. And then we have library board member present, Karen Norris. She's busy typing. So next I want to recognize the Miami High School Sports Hall of Fame. None of them could make it today, but I want to give recognition to Mr. Johnny Trujillo, Mr. Richard Trujillo, Mr. Joe Sanchez, Coach Don Wilson, Ray O'Donnell, and Coach Joy Wilson. The library also houses the Miami Sports Hall of Fame, just a very important area for our community, just wonderful history there. Next, I would like to recognize the Miami Mining Expo team. Maria Lopez, come on over. Phil Stewart, you can stay there. Councilman, okay. Jerry Wilson, Ray Webb, and myself. When the Miami Mining Expo started this venture to have an event on October 4th recognizing our copper mining communities and everyone associated with the copper mining that we provide here in Miami, Arizona, a letter reached Dale Gossett from SUNT. He came into the office, he spoke with Maria and I, and he said, I want to help. We have a grant program that I want you guys to apply for. So I want to introduce SUNT, who is the star of the show tonight, Emily Dwash, Community Relations Manager, and the SUNT Foundation Executive Director. with Build with Purpose. She couldn't be with us tonight. She had a previous engagement. Derek Neal, Industrial Project Executive for Sun Industrial Division. He's heading up furnace operation at Freeport McMoran. He's in there. Yeah, I think everyone's here. Dale Gossett, he's the Area Health, Safety, and Environment Manager for Sun, specifically the industrial group. He was very instrumental in pointing us in the right direction. Dale? Sun is known for building all kinds of different structures, semiconductor plants, data centers, laboratories, water and wastewater treatment plants, advanced water treatment and reuse plants, infrastructure and site development. I think this is one of their first ventures into copper mining, is that correct?
No, our first stop here was 87 years ago this year.
Okay, so they have a long history in copper mining. But I just want to recognize them. They're here to present a check to cover the roof of the library. When we started the Mining Expo venture, all the proceeds were going to go to the roof of the library, hoping that with the Miami Mining Expo, we would raise $78,000, $77,000. And now we have to change it to the Miami Library Project because we have the roof covered. So just another round of applause. I cannot thank Sun enough for doing this
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good.
We'd like to take an opportunity to get a photo shoot with everyone in it.
Evelyn, I got a question.
Yes.
There's a lonely guy out there.
Oh, Roy. Okay. Roy Placencia, library assistant. Thank you.
Perfect. And tour guide. Yeah. Behind on some of these improvements. So like I say, more to come. We're already working with Evelyn on future endeavors.
I remember Sun going all the way back into the 70s.
Yeah.
And it's one heck of a company. We really are proud to have you and your company work with us in this town. Thank you. Thank you all.
Well, I'm blessed to be able to speak, and I used to work with Angel and Dan, know these guys a long time. Retired from Freeport after 45 years and thought I was done, and Sun said, give us a little bit more, and so I joined the safety team with Sun. One of the things that became, in the executive calls, they said, we got this new program called Build with Purpose, and what we want to do is invest back into the communities that we have been blessed to work in. And as you know, as Derek was talking about how long we've been here, and this, I used to be the safety guy at the smelter. I know what it's going to take the old furnace out and put a new one in. It's not an easy job, but Sun's up to the job and to do it safe, to do it safely. So when I heard about Build with Purpose, I reached out to the Tohono tribe who wanted some help building a playground. And it was a small thing, you know, and so it was big to them, but not on the Sun radar. But it got approved, we got them $10,000, and then we got them playground equipment, so we're excited about that. And then Derek reached out to me and said, hey, I talked to Evelyn, and you know what, is there any chance? And I talked to Evelyn a couple of times, and we said, It's a brand-new program, we don't know, we thought maybe they might give us 20,000, something, we just said, let's go for it. And so we put the request together, Evelyn put her special touch on the request, and so it was a couple of weeks, and Evelyn was like, Dale, have you heard anything? And I was like, not yet, but be patient. And then just one night, got an email from Emily, who's the chair of the Build with Purpose Foundation, said, hey, sorry, we've been out of town, but just wanted to give you some good news. We decided to fund the whole thing. So 77 grand, and Evan and I were both crying. Still kind of crying.
That is great news.
And and so we're excited not only to have a program like that where we give back to the community, but to partner with the town of Miami. I've spent many days in that library, so I know how important it is. And I used to live right above it, right across from the restaurant there, gosh, help me with it, Pauline's, where I used to get food every day before going to the open pit or to the refinery later on. So yeah, we're blessed to be here. I'm so thankful to have this guy as a partner who said, let's do this, and we did it. Angel.
Dale, I might be asking you for a favor. Our flagpoles are a little bit run down and might need some maintenance in the future.
You're talking to the right guys.
No problem.
Great, thank you guys, appreciate it.
Just point us in the right direction. and-
Thank you, appreciate it.
Absolutely. So anyway, I'm rambling a little bit, but Dan and Angel, good to see you guys again, and we're blessed to.
It was fun working with you, a lot of fun up there.
Yep, absolutely.
Fun never ends, Dale.
Yes, that's right. Okay, thank you guys.
Thank you all. Okay, item 9B, information and discussion only, presentation of wildfire mitigation plan. Richard Rosales, APS Public Affairs Manager.
Thank you, Mayor Madrid, members of the council. Richard Rosales, happy to be here. Thanks for allowing us to speak about our wildfire mitigation plan. This is not anything new for APS. We've been doing this for many years, but some of the changes that have now impacted Globe of Miami, what we're going to talk to you about today. So, do I just say next slide, or is there a button that I can push, or how do we do it? Oh, there you go. Forward and backwards. I'll just let you can just tell you. There's only a few slides. Go next slide. With me today is Brian Goslin. He's our supervisor for transmission and distribution. He lives right here in Miami. And Cody Tenney, he's our key account manager. They're here. Brian's going to support me with this presentation, but Cody's here to answer questions too. Cody handles all the business side of the relationship with the town of Miami, and I handle kind of the outreach and public affairs. But the first slide just tells you a little bit about APS. You can see the light gray area. We're all around the state of Arizona. A large peak this year, 8,200 megawatts around the state that we have to plan for. We got a lot of transmission and distribution lines to worry about. And then this year, 19% of the system is in high-risk fire area. So with the drought and the drought continuing to spread and the extreme fire danger across the state, it has now come into the Globe Miami area. So I'm going to invite Brian up here to talk about our 6 pillars of what we do for wildfire mitigation, and then we'll get into the public safety power shutoff, which is the new tool that has been added to the Globe Miami. Brian, you want to come up?
I appreciate council for having us here tonight. So I'm going to keep this kind of short and sweet and high level. Feel free to ask questions anytime. This is for your guys' information. So as you guys have probably seen, APS has been around your community pretty heavily this year. You probably see our tree trimmers working extremely hard trying to clean the vegetation up. As you guys know, there's some pretty heavy growth in some of your canyons, and we've been trying to protect that. So as Rich was saying, APS has kind of, I'm going to say their goal is 5 pillars. So our first is vegetation management. If we could control the vegetation, we could help prevent possibly having a fire start. Our next is grid hardening. So if you guys have been watching my crews around here, I've had numerous crews working around here changing poles out. I know it's been an inconvenience to a lot of the town, and I just beg you guys to bear with us, but we're trying to get the grid harder so we don't have any failures in the future. Another thing we've been doing, like I said, is, part of the grid hard is our asset inspection. We inspect every pole every year. We have a couple different ways we do that. We send thermal. A truck goes around with a camera and looks for any hot spots or any weak points. We have our Osmos program, which is a company that comes out, inspects the poles, and dig 2 feet down on the high-risk poles, inspect it to make sure there's no rot, and we do a visual inspection every year. So my guys will go around every year to every pole, take a look at it, we make an assessment of it, and determine if it needs to be replaced or not. Something that's really new nowadays in the world of APS is our monitoring and awareness is next to it. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but if you're looking up there by the cemetery headed out of town, you might have seen a weather station hanging on the side of the solar panel, or by my house up there in Cherry Flats, you might see it on top of a camera. So APS has been installing, I think the numbers right. So to date so far, we've installed 48 cameras at 87 weather stations around the state. What we're trying to do, we're not trying to spy on people, we're not trying to do anything like that. We're trying to get a database and data coming in where our meteorologists and our fire specialists can determine fire risk and where our fire hazards are. What's nice about this system, what we're working with the municipalities and emergency management, we're trying to share this data. So in the future, it's kind of happening now, but this is all new in the last, but you know what you say, Richard? We're trying to get this to the fire departments, trying to get this to Gila County, to police departments if you see any kind of fire or any kind of hazards. There's an example up there on the rim. You guys remember the rim fire this last winter? It was, I believe, in 30 minutes, Richard? We detected it 30 minutes before anybody called it in. The downside was at that time we didn't have automatic calls, so our guys were like, we see a fire, we don't know who to call. We have now since fixed that. We're going to continue installing more cameras, like on top of Pinal Peak. You've probably seen in the news, or maybe not, we've installed AI cameras. And these is a camera that's super high power that can be on the top of the canals, it's not installed yet, and see fires throughout the whole area and automatically detect it. And then there's a control station basically that will take it, the human will look at it and realize that's a fire, and then we'll cross-reference it to try to get the resources there to try to prevent it. The next thing we're doing, other than that, let's see here, where's Richard's page, is our operations. This is something we've been doing for the last few years for fire mitigation to try to prevent the possibility of wildfire. So during the summertime, i.e. like right now, high fire risk, our equipment goes into what we call one shot. What that means is an outage, and I do apologize, but when we have an outage, it doesn't come right back on. I have to send personnel out to inspect it, to make sure there's no fire risk before we re-energize. That is why, if you guys have noticed, if we do have a trip, it's usually about 30 minutes to 45 minutes for me to get my engine back on. And hopefully that makes sense to you guys there. If not, please feel free to ask. With that no reclosion strategy, we've been trying, that's what we've been using, but as time's moved on, the world has changed. Fire risk has increased, as you guys have all probably agree with me. So we're having to look at one extra tool in our toolbox, basically called. This is called public safety power shutoff. This is our very last extreme, option for us. This is our last thing. Just to give you a high level, I think the next page, right? I apologize, I haven't reviewed these slides, so I just saw them right now. I saw them in another place. So what these are here for is an extreme weather event. And when, and this is a criteria of an extreme weather event for us. High winds, low RH, and a high probability of fire, like low fuel moistures in the fields. This is a forecast event, something that we see coming in the weather. This isn't like a monsoon storm or something like that. This is, for example, it's not a direct comparison, like the Santa Ana wind in California, something that we know is coming. In that case, if we do see that coming, our meteorologists that we have now 3 on staff, with their modeling software and their fire modeling software, will identify that this is a possibility, this is an extreme risk in this area, and they will then call what they call public safety power shutoff. What that it means is that 4 days out, we will start reaching out to to the public as well as all the towns and emergency management that possibly in 4 days, we may have to interrupt service while this wind event happens. At, T-3, T-2, we'll continue to communicate with everybody. And in our forms of communication, we'll be sending it through text messages, phone calls, media, every way we can. And then in regards to our critical customers, our medical monitoring customers, we will be making direct phone calls to them. So my ask of you guys at council, if you do know of anybody that's on auction, please have them get on our medical monitoring program. What that does is, like I said, it allows us to know that they're on it. We will make a direct phone call to make sure they have the oxygen they need, they know who to contact, and we're aware of where they're at, so we can help, assist them as needed. As this goes forward, T-1, we will be looking at everything, go or no go. Our meteorologist will be watching this as it's going real time. So it's not like we're going to make a call on T4 and go, oh, this is what we called. We're going to wait until the last possible minute. At that point, our executive team and our meteorologist and our fire specialist will make the call that will interrupt service for the time frame that's identified. Realistically, just being transparent, we're probably about a 20-hour interruption because most of our wind events are in the evening, and then at nighttime, due to the risk, we're not going to be able to patrol the lines to capture it. We'll start patrolling first thing in the morning. We have resources assigned to get up here and try to get it done as expeditedly as possible. Our goal is to have it done in a couple hours. And that's the goal, depending on how good with it. And then at that time, we'll restore power as needed. The main thing I want to stress is this is an extreme weather event. This is like last time we read the numbers in APS, this whole system that Richard showed you, we would only have 0.7 events, 0.8 events a year for the last, and so far we've had no events. Last year was the first time we did it. Like I said, this is our last option, our last tool in our tool bag. This is not something we're going to do lightly or just off the cuff. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask.
I just wanted to fill in on the outreach that we've done. Actually, we've met with many of you. I still need to meet with Dan and Dawn. And Dawn gets back from his trip of selling, but I want to reach out to Dan as well. But just get one-on-one feedback. We've been doing that, but we also want to encourage the public to update their contact information that we have on aps.com, because that's the way, if this were to happen, that's how we would communicate with them with the contact information. You may have received, but all of our outreach materials went out last week. They'll probably start hitting email inboxes or your mail, depending on how you receive your messages from APS. And basically, that's the first step. It just says, you're in a PSPS area, and please update your contact information. Again, it's an extreme event. It's not like we're planning it. It's not a rolling blackout. It's very rare. But we do want to encourage everyone to be prepared. We've been meeting with Alexis and going through the emergency planning book, and that's a very nice book that you have. You guys are very well prepared already. I like that book. You shared it with me, and I've been looking through it. And then we've been talking through with just some of the issues one-on-one that each of you have had concerns, and so we're addressing those issues when we hear about it. And for example, I know Michael is trying to work with ADOT to get their batteries fixed on the lights, because when we do have a power outage, they're not blinking because maybe they're batteries. So some of the things like that we've been working on this. So I think anything else, any other questions, concerns? It is affecting all of Miami, unfortunately, because you are all high risk, and it also goes up to top of the world. So we'll have to do some outreach up there as well.
Could you give us an example of an extreme outage, like?
Extreme event.
It's extreme wind or extreme or.
Well, I'll tell you what I heard. Different program up the mine. Every now and then they would prepare us, because during certain peaks down in the valley, they said that we might have a brownout this evening. Nothing like that.
No.
Okay, nothing to do with peaks.
No.
Okay.
You don't need to take Richard. Yeah. So appreciate the question, Councilmember. What this is a combination. It's not just wind by itself. So that's why we don't have any specifics. It's a combination of relative humidity, high winds, and fuel moistures. And then our modeling software that we have they'll put it, it's a fire modeling software, it's some of the latest tech out there. They'll put that data into the computer system, and if it shows the possibility of a catastrophic fire. So that's what fires are, as you guys know, fires happen, that happen. What we're concerned about is a catastrophic fire, i.e. like a telegraph fire. Something that if it got started, that wouldn't be able to be caught by local fire departments or local resources. But that criteria, there's too many variables to give a specific, like, this is the magic number, this is the magic number, because it has to take all those into account.
Yeah, it's extremely high wind.
Okay.
And what you're talking about is the peak load, and we always have an 18% reserve margin on the peak load. So we've never had any incidents with that, knock on wood.
Yeah, loading work fine.
Well, like I said, it was a different program that they're
Yeah.
under. Yeah. Also, I want to thank you. Every time we have an outage, I get a text message that we have an outage, and then I get another one when we get back on. I appreciate that.
Yeah, we have a very robust communication system, and we're gonna use that for these public safety
That's
fires,
great.
so.
Also, I wanted to bring up the fact that, I'm sure Dan is aware of the yellow and red alerts. We used to have these alerts up there at the mine, because we'd be working out in the field, and they had a system where they can sense the static electricity and the percentage of a lightning strike, and they had the yellow alert and red alert and have us leave. Could you guys implement something like that, or are you implementing something like that?
Well, we're working with Gila County Emergency Management on this, so they're very well aware of the program. They're gonna use the Ready, Set, Go
Okay,
for any evacuation. So
evacuation.
that's the other side of the outreach that we're doing, is we're encouraging all of our customers to sign up for Ready Gila alerts as well.
But
We
the-
will do communications, but then they will also, if there is an issue or a
But those are emergency procedures, what you're talking about.
yes,
What we're talking about is that they can actually detect a lightning possibility, and they're very accurate.
Yeah, at this time, that's not what our equipment's set up for. We're dependent upon the National Weather Service. There's some other companies agencies that have better detection systems out there. There are some websites out there that you can actually pull up that data.
Okay,
So our equipment is more focused on the criteria that we're looking at.
yes.
And that's why we're putting so many weather stations around,
Hmm.
is because the National Weather Service is a fairly broad stroke when they predict weather, and we're trying to get down to the specifics for this area specifically, or,
Right.
like top of the world by itself, or Superior, because there's such a different weather patterns. As you guys all know, you've been here for a long time and been around here, it could be storming in Miami, and top of the world, it could be completely different, so.
Yeah.
we have, like he said, 3 meteorologists on staff, which is really a nice feature to have, because they can do the spot weather checks for us,
Yeah.
and they will make the call and give us the heads up. So like we said, 4 days in advance, we'll know there's an extreme weather event coming.
So meteorologists anymore are unbelievably accurate. I used to fly. I was given warnings at Deer Valley one day to leave by 1 o'clock. I couldn't believe it, 1 o'clock, so as I was flying out, sure enough, storm came in right there only at 1 o'clock. Amazing. What was my other question? Oh, God, it'll come to me in a little bit. But,
Any other questions?
I have one.
Yes, sir, ma'am.
If you want to think on yours for a minute.
no, thank you.
Just curious, Miami is in one of these, 19% areas. What constitutes that? Is that prevailing wind? Is that terrain?
It's the extreme drought conditions and the amount of vegetation fuel around. And then also you have the slopes, right? And
It's a combination of everything, sir. If you go to any, like, state fire or Forest Service fire maps, this whole area is in the upper high risk. And then with our fire modeling software, and you guys have with the canyons and the possibility of getting a large wildfire, a catastrophic scale larger wildfire is very possible in the canyons and across, going through like Mackey Camp and all those areas. So it's not like a weather thing per se. The weather's the part that pushes it to the next level. It's just the geographics and the vegetation around it that drives it.
Thank you.
And one thing I want to clarify too, when we have these extreme wind events is, it's not necessarily our equipment that blows down. It's, many times, it's things blowing into the line. So it could be metal roofs, or it could be, umbrellas or shade structures or whatever that fly into it. And that's usually what causes it. And so that's one of the other reasons why we do the patrol, but also we encourage our customers to do what they can to help, prevent that.
At the mines, we had issues with dove and their mating habits. Ruined a lot of transformers.
Yeah, those text messages, you always give like a 3-hour window, but it seems like you get it resolved a lot sooner than that. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, but that's just so you know, they have a default just because, as you imagine, as you guys have all worked the mines, like to get guys out, there could be a delay getting the guys out, so we do that window, but once we're aware of it, we try to get that window knocked down to be more accurate, but for you.
Very good. Anyone else? Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, the next item, 9C, information, discussion, and possible action, possible award of facade project bid to Val West Construction, and approval of construction agreement with Val West Construction. At this point, I personally have to recuse myself on this issue.
Good evening again. I wanted to introduce Jerry Burgess. He's the project manager for Val West Construction. Jerry, you want to come up? Val West Construction has been selected as the potential contractor. Hopefully it will be approved tonight for the facade program. We've been working on the facade program for over a year now. We started and ran into a few challenges, and then I had some personal issues that I dealt with for a few months, and we're back on it again. Val West turned in a stellar proposal. I mean, the detail in what Jerry put together was really incredible. I want to say thank you to BHP Billiton for the seed money of $92,000 for this project. And also the town of Miami is securing an additional $20,000. So what the owners that are involved with this program are going to get is $7,500 plus their 25% if their project reaches $6,000. So they'll put in another $15, which brings the total amount of construction dollars to $9,000 for each building owner. So there's 15 buildings involved. Jerry is busy talking to each building owner. He came in early today and talked to a few. He's been talking to them on the phone in regards to what his costs came up to, itemized, and what the property owner wants to negotiate, or maybe some change orders, etc. So he's already kind of jumped on that, which is a great thing. Do you want to add anything? Are there any questions? I provided a breakdown of the cost of the facade and the non-facade. Yes, it's on this big sheet. So it steps you through all the way down to, at the end, what the owner would pay after the facade project is paid for. The other information provided on your desk tonight was a list of those that are participating in the program. We have 15 buildings. I don't want to say 15 owners because some of these owners own a couple of buildings. So, and then the last is actually the breakdown per building. So the front page is cover page. It lists all 15 buildings and the total costs. And then it breaks it down by building 1, building 2, building 3, etc. So all that information is available to you. Are there any questions?
Evelyn,
Yes.
I got one question for you. And I'm just gonna pick building 6, because it's the most expensive. If I'm getting this right, DHP portion is gonna be between 6,000 and 7,500. No?
BHP portion will be 75% of $6,000.
Okay. That's okay.
Okay.
Who's gonna come up with the rest of the money? Is it up to the owners to do this?
Yes, if it's over, the 6,000, if it's over what BHP puts in, the 1,500 that the owner puts in, plus the town of land, he's gonna, we're working on another little small program, pitch in another 1,500. So yes, that will be a contract between Val West and the owner, anything over $9,000,
Okay.
basically.
So let's just say this guy says, I don't have 40,000, and I'm just gonna use that as a round figure. I can't do it. Take me out of the system. Well, that 7,500, whatever, go back into the pot to be distributed between the other buildings? Or,
No, right now we have it set that if they back out and we have that pool of money left over, we can open it up to a different building owner.
oh, okay. So there are more than 15 buildings, but they just don't qualify right now because of the amount of money. So if one drops out, then there's a possibility of another building that could pick up and come in there.
Yes. We only have one person on the waiting list. I was only contacted by one other person, and I knew I was at the border cost-wise. So I told her, we're going to have to wait on your building to see what funding we have left.
Okay.
Mayor and Council, I'm going to ask that we table this because I think there's some substantial issues with the contract that need to be addressed. Because the contract that's included in the packet doesn't have any of the details that's been provided to you tonight. And also is a contract between the town and the contractor. There's nothing in that contract that details how the payments are going to be made from the property owners to the town. And we also need to have separate contracts with each of the property owners for the 15 properties, because essentially the town is entering into a contractor, or into a contract with a contractor to do work on someone else's property. We have to have written permission from that property owner to be able to have the town be able to do that. We also need to have specific details with regard to like those payments, because if the town were to sign the contract the way it is tonight, the town's obligated for almost $300,000 of work. Because there's substantial amounts of non-facade work that's included in this. My recommendation has always been that the non-facade work needs to be separate contracts between the property owners and the contractors. Because you run into an argument that the town is using its credit as leverage to get better pricing. That could be an argument under the Arizona Gift to Loan Clause, because it's not just defined, it's the Gift to Loan Clause provides for funds and or credit to private individuals. So those are concerns with regard to the way that the contract is written as of right now, because there's nothing in the contract. It identifies a consortium. A consortium's not a legal entity. The consortium can't sign an agreement. Each one of the property owners would have to sign an agreement with the town detailing how those funds would be paid, because if the town enters into this contract and is obligated for these excess funds, the town needs to have those funds up front. Because otherwise you go through and what happens in 30 days with first progress payment becomes due, and the work's being done and the property owner doesn't pay the town. So there's a lot of those specific details that need to be just worked out and tweaked. We can do that. I've already given John a heads up with regard to those details as to what we need to see in an overall contract to protect the town. Because the town has received funds from third parties for the process, but once the town receives those funds, those become government funds, those become town funds, and we have to make sure that they're appropriated and used properly. But then we also have to make sure that if, like I said, if there's $40,000 in extra work, where's that money? Is that money going to be provided up front? What happens if work gets started and that property owner doesn't submit the payment? And then who's responsible for that? Because under this contract, it's just a contract between the town and the construction company. There is no obligation under that contract for anyone else. So that's why we need to make sure we have those details dialed in as to how that's going to work, because it's a simple, when you look at it from a construction process, it's a simple project. You know, paint, facade, doors, windows, and things like that, nothing super technical. But when you're talking about 15 different properties, multiple property owners, the town is the entity doing the contracting to ask or to contract with this contractor to do work on private property that the town doesn't own. And like I always tell all my clients, you know, although you've had conversations with the consortium and you've had agreements verbally, if it's not in writing, act like it didn't happen. Because if something happens down the road, how are you going to defend against that? You're going to say, well, we had a conversation, you know, a few months ago when, you know, this was discussed. That's not binding. So that's just my recommendation, is that we table it until we can get those revisions to that process so that everything's tied in with regard to, you know, how that's going to work with all the different property owners.
Mayor? So Joel, who needs to get you information? And in your opinion, how long do we need to table it for?
So tonight was the first night I saw any of the details of the breakdown. I've asked earlier today for Karen to send me copies of all the bid documents and stuff. I need to get all of this over to John. I would imagine within, if not by the next meeting, by the second meeting in May, that we can have, because we've got to put together, and I don't anticipate that the contract between the town and the property owners is going to be overly complicated. They're typically fairly simple. I've done this with other CBDD type projects where we went in and installed sewer on 20 different houses and abandoned their septic systems. But we had to have access agreements for each one of those property owners because we, as a city, were contracting with the contractor to come in and do construction work on their property. There's also been the issue of warranty. You know, who's responsible for the warranty of the work? If the city's entering into the contract, are the property owners, if they have a warranty issue, do they have to come to the city, or can they go straight to the contractor? So there's all those different types of issues that just need to be addressed out in a final document. We can acknowledge that, you know, I don't know what the other what the bid process was or the other bids and stuff, but if this was the only bid that was received, it's the bid that's being recommended. So those are some of the questions, because typically, if you received in multiple bids, you'll identify, you know, we received 5 bids. This is the bid that we're recommending because of X, Y, and Z.
My question is, would you be working with, or you and Joe John working with Evelyn on this, on the contract?
Yeah, John can work directly with Evelyn on that.
That's a lot of stuff that you just mentioned. And with that, can I make a motion? If I may, motion to table item C as written.
Second.
And just saying, until the attorney is able to
Yes.
bring back the appropriate contract documents.
Yes, within a week or two.
A month or two.
Yes. But yes, we'll be waiting for the response from the attorneys.
Motion has been made. Let's vote. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it.
Thank you.
Okay, item 9D, public hearing regarding the proposed use of CDBG, Community Development Block Grant Funds. The town is expected to receive approximately $253,821 in fiscal year '25. Federal CDBG funds from Arizona Department of Housing regional account. So open to the public hearing.
Bring it at 7:06.
7:06.
Yeah, anybody.
Karen needs to record that you opened it.
Okay, so I'm opening the public hearing.
So, Mayor, I just wanted to point out, I believe on the CBDD projects, with regard to this hearing, is to take in recommendations or items to be able to be used for this type of project, and that it's during this meeting, during this public hearing, that those are the only items that the council would be able to consider at the future council meeting when you go to vote on what projects to select. So we always encourage that you mention or list all the different types of projects that are on a wish list, because if they're not specifically mentioned during the hearing, then they're not available to be considered for the final project in the future.
Thank you.
Mayor?
Yes.
So with that, I think there should be a project to fund an additional vehicle for the city attorney. Again? I put that on every year.
April 1st is past that.
Too late.
Go ahead,
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. My name is Angela Gatto, and I am the Administrative and Special Projects Coordinator for Central Arizona Governments. As your attorney said, the hearing tonight is for public input regarding possible projects for consideration for the 2025 CDBG grant cycle. The town of Miami is expected to receive approximately $253,821 in federal fiscal year 25 CDBG funds from the Arizona Department of Housing. All proposed regional projects must meet one of three of the national objectives, which are benefit low to moderate income persons in the area, alleviate slum and blight in the community, or address an urgent need of the town. Some of the projects that we have done in the past are street improvement projects, wastewater upgrades, we've done park improvement projects, ADA improvements, and slum and blight removal. As the attorney mentioned, only projects identified and listed at tonight's public hearing are eligible to be submitted as consideration at the next public hearing, where the council will vote. That hearing is going to be held on June 9th. And at that time, you will select your final project to do the application for the CDBG funds. And at this time, we are asking for suggestions or taking any questions you might have.
Chance for handrails.
You don't
I
know.
mentioned it to her.
Mayor?
Go ahead.
Maybe you can clarify that.
Can we throw in the next phase for our stairs to be done?
Yes.
Okay, I want to throw that in there.
To include handrails.
And include handrails. The next phase, I don't know how many phases it was gonna be, but only one's been done, so I want to throw in the next phase or whatever it can do.
I had a question that she can answer with regard to if you want to list road projects, if you have to specify specific areas or specific roads.
Not at the hearing, we will for the application. So if you want to recommend that, it would just be street improvements at this point. But when we get to the application, we'll want to discuss which streets you want to include in the application.
I missed that, we're talking about streets. I'm very concerned about Frederick Street. Terrible shape, dangerous, primitive conditions. I measured it out, over 300 feet. And I'm really concerned about safety on that one.
So
And I'm sure there's more, right?
what she was saying is you could just list street improvements right
Yes,
now.
yes, I just thought I'd throw in there with street
But the
improvements.
specifics would be selected at the June meeting.
We have plenty of streets we can throw in there.
Yeah, but I took this opportunity to warn people about the primitive conditions on Frederick Street, so be careful, everybody. Thank you, Joe.
Alexis, what about our Blight Week? We need to throw that in there, don't we?
In Blight, we started process with the grant, for Brownfield grant, yeah, we started process. And I follow the recommendation of the Councilman Medina about the roads, that's something that is already past due for the town of Miami. We need to start working on that, it's already 22 years of decapitated roads. And the combination of CBDGs and HERF money, we can make that happen, we can make families happy.
Okay.
So if we get this all in by June 9th, when can we start and see the improvements?
So on June 9th, you'll select your project, and then we'll do the application, we'll do your environmental review. You will likely receive funding by the end of this year, and then we'll go out for procurement at that point.
Any other comments, questions?
Downtown redevelopment be
Gonna handle
broad enough, or would it have to be more specific?
Joe Sanchez.
At the application, it would need to be more specific, but right here downtown.
So if you
Joe Sanchez.
wanted to include downtown redevelopment, you could mention that as a potential
His hand
project
raised.
as well.
Joe, you have something to say?
Joe Sanchez.
Oh, yes, thank you. It is a public hearing, so I will just, my name is Joe Sanchez, I live at 354 South Adonis, and I want to make sure that we include the street improvements, 200 and some $1,000 is not going a long way, but at least I want street improvements to be on the list. And we can get more specific, I guess, at the June 9th
Yeah, I
meeting.
think we agreed to that already.
We did?
Street improvements, yeah.
Okay. Public safety too, that involves whatever the council determines, and whether it be police work or radios or whatever equipment, we see that our police department needs, or maybe it's something in public works. I hope we get, this is an opportunity for the folks that are here to let the council know what, bring these items forward, because
Yes.
this will be our only chance.
Yes.
I see that there's already something in motion for a process for the blight to get funds to take care of some of those buildings that we have that need to be either tore down or improved or whatever. So that's really public safety. As you know, we're working, I don't know how this on Block Watch program. I'll put that on the list too, because that is going to entail some funds from the town. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Joe.
Any comments on that, Angela?
Unfortunately, police equipment is not an allowable
I
use.
figured you'd say that.
What,
We
what-
tried.
I'm sorry, what is it?
Police equipment is not an allowable use of funds.
Oh.
Any other comments, guys? Okay, I guess we'll-
Mayor, so we also have anything that any of the department heads, Evelyn, some of the work that she's doing, if any of those projects could be, included in the discussion, even now, what our zoning commissioner, or not commissioner, but our zoning employee, there's a need to make sure that anything that he needs to, in the program or the, whatever his duties are there should be included. I think that's a public safety, but not, policing. I don't think Ruben does any policing.
I don't think that falls in
No,
scope of that.
no, not that either?
No. So just as a reminder, it would be public infrastructure, community facilities, parks. We've done playground equipment and shade over parks. We did ADA improvements at the park in Star Valley, so their parks have different areas, but there was no connectivity, so they did some ADA sidewalks and parking so that those areas are accessible to everyone. And again, we've done street projects. And just a note on street projects, it has to be a mill and repave. It can't be chip sealing or surface. It has to be stripped and redone.
Brand new.
Yes. And in Winkleman, we took it down to the substrate and redid theirs because they didn't have enough road left to redo. So I imagine some of Miami streets will be that way as well.
Oh, yes.
Maybe you can take off the list of current projects that are on the list available for approval in June.
So we have phase 2 of Keystone Stairs, street improvements, downtown redevelopment.
And Angela, you mentioned public spaces. Did I hear that correctly?
Correct.
Would you consider a library a public space?
There are limitations with the library, but if there is something that you want to look at, we can put it on the list and I can find out if it's eligible.
Refrigeration, does that fall into
I would like to
category?
look at
Does
the,
it?
I'd like to look at the floor in the library. There's already some floor that's cordoned off, that's deemed unsafe. And that's a potential harm to the public.
Can I ask if Alexis has anything in his mind?
Yes, we have a grant, we already have the quotes from the state, and my concern on that is that if we receive it, we line the grant before July, and we select that, what's gonna happen with that funding
Yeah, lose it.
For what project is that for?
for the flooring?
Oh, for the library.
Yeah, for the library. That's the biggest concern, Councilman. If we line up that before June 30th, that grant, and June 9, Mayor and Council select the library, what's gonna happen?
Lose the money.
So as a note on that particular item, you can select 2 projects. So if you wanted to select the library and as a backup, the streets, you can do that. And then if you get the funding, it would go to the second project.
But again, tonight is to list as many potential projects as possible, because if they're not mentioned tonight, they're not eligible for consideration.
Until 3 years.
So,
You got 2 hands.
Sammy wants to talk.
So Angela, we're talking about the library, and we're talking about streets. Would the parking lot be eligible for that?
For the
Library parking lot?
I believe so, but I would need to double check on that.
Okay, if you can check on that.
I'll put it down so that it's available.
Go ahead, Ruben.
While we're at it.
I think a good project would be like back in the day when they used to have events downtown Miami, the whole downtown Miami was packed. If we can get the money to buy the building next to the park, make a stage on there so we can listen to bands and people dancing in that area, it would be, bring everything more downtown.
That's a good one.
For businesses, so you tear that building down, if we can buy it as a project and then build a stage with lighting and speakers and put a dance floor in front of it so people can dance. They have that in Jerome and they have it downtown Superior. That would be a good idea to bring the public out to listen to music and have dances like during the
So we're
fiestas.
talking about a park extension.
Yes.
Does that fit, Angela?
I'll have to check, but what is the condition of the building? Are you wanting to knock it down?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
knock it
you
down.
could probably fall under slum and blight to remove that one.
And when you have functions downtown, like the fiestas, the kids can swim. The parents are not wondering how their kids are doing at the pool. They have observation at the pool, and the kids have observation with their parents where they're at. Like it used to be downtown Miami behind the town hall at the old senior building. The fiesta stage was there. Sammy should know your dad Johnny. They had the fiesta there, and it was all packed. And parents had observation of their kids everywhere running around. I think that would be a good idea, is to get the building, knock it down, build a good stage and a dance floor, so I'm not trying to be mean, but the elderly and the people can dance. You know, they can be comfortable. I think it would benefit the town and, you know, like the events that the town throws too. We can have a stage where people, they can hear everything instead of having these little speakers, but it would be, I think it would work out and a lot of more people would come to Miami to listen to music, listen to the bands and dance.
Some good ideas, but
Yeah, the zoning commissioner has my vote.
Superiors was done with CDBG grants as well.
I think you mentioned, Angela, the blight
Oh, you got one more.
issue that we could, that we could knock that building down with blight funding. But I understand, my understanding of blight, that it has to be a dangerous building that needs to come down. What we're talking about is taking that building down. It's not necessarily a dangerous building, but we want to expand the park, get more park area there. Buy the building, knock it down, and go from there. Does that fit?
We could fit it under either. We could fit it under park improvements
yeah.
or.
That's what I was hoping you'd say. All right. Joe?
If we're talking about parking lots, I'd like to include the parking at the William Plaza, you know, the events that are held in the gymnasium and, you know, at the museum. The parking lots, we've had, you know, we provided some money to make improvements to the entrance to the back of the back parking lot, but that parking lot, along with the one at the library, you know, they have, there's a lot of use in those lots, and I'd like to make sure that that's included in the list. If that's a one that could be.
I think Angela said she would look at whether we could use parks in the road.
Well, this isn't a road or a park, it's a
Parking lot. That's what I
Parking
meant.
lot, Mayor.
wanted to mention, this is a good example when we would rely on our strategic plan. What are our priorities and what should we address first, second, third? I think we've kind of determined that law enforcement is high on the list, and the police department needs a lot of repairs, right?
Oh.
It needs.
But it
air
doesn't
conditioning.
fall under this particular
No, it
grant.
doesn't fall. So then I would go on the next list on our strategic plan. You know, economic development, I can't remember the top three, but economic development would be one. But what I would like to see is a project finished. You know, we seem to be piecemealing a lot of projects, and we just need to choose one, get it done, and get it off our list instead of having to wait. So, you know, I would say library, the stairs would be two good options. So, that's it.
Go ahead.
I'm Christine. If you're talking about parking lots, the Miami Senior Center parking lot is a hazard. I have had senior citizens fall over that had to be taken by ambulance to the hospital with blood running down their faces because of the way that parking lot is.
Because
So-
of the curbs? that
Yeah, the
took it over?
curbs, the way the parking lot is, I mean, take a look at everybody's car. I mean, you could sit at the senior center and see that on a daily basis, people's cars get dented because of the way that parking lot is. So at the end of the day, like, I feel that the senior center parking lot would be a high priority to fix because of the damage that is done to the senior citizens, where we have to call their people and say, hey, I have a senior being transported by ambulance because their face was bleeding from falling over the curb. I fell over one of the curbs because a piece of wrought iron was hanging out and grabbed my pants and I fell. You know what I mean? But I worry about the senior citizens.
I have to agree with you. That parking lot,
It's
you either run
horrible.
over the curb or fall over the curb.
Yeah, you either fall, I'm being serious, like, people fall all the time, and it is gonna put us in a lawsuit one day when somebody falls, in my opinion.
No, that's a good point.
Mayor and council, I can recommend, now that we have the 3 parkings, we can be a specific parking lots, police department, Pavilion Plaza, library, and senior center. We can use those 4. And we have already the quotes for everybody.
We do?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a question. I think I know your answer, but for years, we've been in need of an elevator at Pavilion Plaza Museum. That would ever fall into that category?
It does, but the cost
Yes.
is,
$1.7 million.
and
To know.
we're looking, we met today with the mayor and Councilman Stewart, and we're going to look into some different funding options for that for you
Oh,
guys.
good. Yeah, we've been working on that for years. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? Thank you, Angela.
You're welcome, thank you.
We'll close this hearing, public hearing.
7:28.
Okay, item 10, call the council future agenda items. Any comments from council?
My usual thank you for everybody that's stayed here with us. Very important that you guys participate, so thank you.
Second that, thank you. Okay, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.